Welcome back to another video, everyone. We're going to be going over some Bitcoin stuff here real quick. So we're going to go on the longer time frames, give you all the important zones that you need to know. It is Sunday. What do we do on Sundays? You guys better be making sure that you have all of your zones mapped out, which we can see throughout the week. Sunday is, a day of reflection. You guys are supposed to reflect a little bit about how your past week went. And it's also a day to kind of understand and try and predict what's going to happen next week. Try and schedule it out, please. What are we talking about here, right? Let's get our pivotal points for the week, and let's get our zones of support and resistance. This is basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We see some sort of shift on Monday or Tuesday. We see those days as, the fake out days where we see price going in a certain direction. We're going to try and, map out some of these upside downside zones where they do have lots of volatility, pivotal points, where if we do see the volume pick up, if we do see, certain indicators that are pointing towards some of these zones, and it does look right. Those are some great entries. You got to be patient right now. We're in the middle of the zone. Like I said, though, Sunday, look back on the week, look forward in the week, figure out, what's going to happen Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Obviously, you can't predict the future every single time, but you can predict these high volatility zones and these important supports and these resistances here. So when we do look at the charts, we are seeing some resistance here at this 35,263 level. We haven't been able to break out of the zone to the upside, and God knows how long. We need to really see a candle close above this and have some momentum to the upside. We've just been making lower high after lower high after lower high on the daily. We'll start off with the macro, then get to the micro, and then go over a few of these altcoins, trying to make this a little bit better. All right, so lower high, or this was the higher high right here, lower high. If we do not break out of this trend and we're not able to make some sort of higher high, I do want to see a candle close above 34K to 34,500 today. And I will be looking for some upside movement either Monday or Wednesday, whichever day it might be. But if we do not close above this 34,500 today, I am looking for some downside movements. Every time that we haven't been able to close above this, we have seen some downside movement just because price is not too well from these zones to the bottom zones. But we do see that we have right here, we do have some candles, right? We all know that we can recover these candles up here on the left side on the daily. These candles are all the way up to around 40, 41K. We need to make higher highs. We need to have momentum to the upside if we do want to break through this 36,500, 36K, 35,500 zones if we do want to see that upside. We know that we have super resistance. I guess you could say extremely hard resistance to break out of at those zones that I just listed. 36K, 35,500, and 36,500 are extremely hard zones to break out of. Any of you bulls that are extremely bullish right now, we need to break above these zones if we do want to see those 40K zones. So make sure to take that into consideration. We need a daily candle close above it, and then we know that we're going to have some upside opportunity to at least 40K. We've seen that happen in the past, and we need to just see this prosper. And let's talk about the downside. We'll go into some indicators here on the daily in a second. But downside, just based off of market structure, we are in this trend line. We do have some sort of resistance that we do have, which is around this 33,500 zone. I do want to see, if we want to see some downside movements, I want to see a candle close around this 34,200 to the 34,100 zone on the daily, just because I know that we're using that resistance that we have on our trend line, and most likely we will have a push down if we don't have the momentum to push us through. And that's very important in key zones that we've just been listing here. We will go on the smaller time frames, like I said, because you guys can't pick up all the supports and the resistances on the daily. Let's be honest, that's not the best thing to go about it. I'll show you how to find great supports and resistances and base price action off of them. But this is just daily charts, macro charts. But we want to see price push down below at least 32,400, have a candle close below here if we do want to see some sorts of movement to the upside. Why do I say that? Every time we've had a candle close here, we've had some upside movement to the extreme. As you guys can see here, upside movement, right? Upside movement. Every time we've had even a wick in these areas, we've had upside movement on the daily candle. So this is an extremely important zone that I feel like not too many people are talking about on the macro. We haven't seen price close on the daily and not have a large push up the next day ever, right? So I do see this as another pivotal point zone that we've seen for Bitcoin. Very, very important if we do get below these zones. And that being said, this would be some good buying opportunities in these zones, just dollar cost averaging on spot. Whatever you're doing, don't ape in. Obviously, set your stop losses maybe at these lower levels, and then maybe just pyramid your orders down at lower prices. But every time we've had a candle close, in these areas right here, large move to the upside on the daily. Indicators are showing, BBWP is Bollinger Band's weighted percentage. It doesn't really hit bottoms. It's just showing that we are lower on momentum with Bollinger Band's weighted percentile. We have had some times in the past where it's given this blue signal and we've had a large push to the downside, which is basically essentially the buying signal. We do have some RSI issues, in my opinion. We need to see this 49 level broken, and we really haven't been able to have that large of a break off the 49 with RSI. I'm using EMA with RSI. I'm actually using on my chart as well on the lower time frames. I use I would say 4 hour, 1 hour. We'll go into it, but using the 50 EMA. Just on the daily, because the longer EMAs we can still use them, but just to show you guys, right, daily using the 50 EMA every time we have a cross and we are in a macro downtrend on the daily. When we cross under, that's when you're supposed to be putting in your orders to either short or to either try and get into some of these bearish divergences on the RSI that we see pan out. When we do reach below these, I would say these 30 levels, that's when you look to long in a downtrend. But until we do, I'm not going to be looking for that. I'm just looking for the shorting, because we still are making lower highs until we break through trends. I'm not really looking for too much upside movement on the macro when using RSI as some sort of confluence with price. We need to make sure, though, if we do want to see a breakout, right, we need to break above this 50 level and then break somewhere above this 56 level. But still, it's going to be hard for price to to hold there, as we've just been getting lower, and lower. We're still in some sort of downtrends. We kind of are testing this right now, which, as you guys can see here, we've had quite a lot of touches off of this level right here. Even if we go a little bit higher too. Even if we go a little bit higher, boom, a lot of touches off this level. If we can break through, I wouldn't even expect that much of a large movement to the upside. Just probably play around at this 50 to this 56 level. All right, on the MACD on the daily, we are showing a little bit of bullish divergence, but we are very, very, I wouldn't say very bullish in the sense of MACD on the daily. I want to see a candle close, above these zones that I talked about if I want to be bullish. That's the thing. Volume is going down. We've seen volume go down on the daily. This shows essentially exactly what's the volume weighted average percentage, and it's also using MACD with it. I prefer to use this over MACD. It's a little bit more accurate. It's called VMACD. If we look at the chart right here, every time that we have some sort of cross to the downside, we do have some sort of bearish movement that does play out. It works a lot better on these smaller time frames as well, which I do use it on. You just have to tweak the settings just a little bit sometimes to get in some of the the best orders that you can possible with this. Volume is very important when we're in such a volatile market. You have to understand that. Volume is extremely important data. It's not important if you're just using it alone. You have to use different, market structure. You have to use different indicators to really get the best use case out of volume in general. And I'm using this with just resistance, supports. We'll get into historical resistance and supports, pivotal points, and zones that, we do see breakdowns on the daily. That's the macro trend, okay? Let me get some water, and we're going to be getting into the micro on Bitcoin. How you doing up there? Getting my setup a little bit cleared out. It's a little messy right now. Forgive me. But we do see some sort of key pivotal points on the shorter time frames using this indicator right here, historical support and resistance lines. It's called next support and resistance. You guys could slap this on. It does give you some sort of indicator on where we see support, where we see resistance. Using this on the 1 hour can be very, very key. If we see, some sort of dip below this support level, for example, and we see a candle that closes above it, Normally, we have some volatile price movement to the upside, and we continue this type of trend on the hourly close. It's very important to use the closes of a candle, not the middle of it, right? You get more data, there's a lot more volume at the end of hourly candles, at the end of any sort of candle in the higher time frames, because, that's when they try and send price above certain levels. So this 33K zone we've seen right here, and in the past we've used this as support. If we do fall through this with volatile movement, we have an entire candle close below it. We should be looking for some downside movement. We would make some sort of new range in between this 33,123 level, in between, I would say, kind of around this 32,400 level. These are just smaller zones to take into consideration. If we do break through that zone, we are in some sort of free fall state to around the 31K zone. We have extremely volatile zones in here. I would say, though, if we do look at the macro trends, like we said, we don't really have candles close too much at these zones. Let me go back in time. The daily candles, they don't close, or they haven't closed, in these 31,500 zone. Just hasn't happened. So if we do see a dip into these zones, great buying opportunities. Lower highs, though, take that into consideration. This could be that push down that we do see that daily candle close, and then, hey, not a good time to trade on the long side of things. But I'm also using support and resistance. We'll do a little overview on EMAs. Have the 21 and the 55 EMA. If we're above the 21 and the 55, it shows uptrends. We're below it, it shows downtrends. And you could also be using this with RSI. If we look at the RSI right now, we are showing on the hourly that we're a little bit overbought, right? This 50 zone currently that I have marked off, let me move this up so it's at 50. 50 shows this is the middle of the range, okay? You don't really want to be doing too much trading if you're trying to be conservative and be consistent. Don't trade when we're near the 50 unless we do have, multiple confluences with indicators. We're at a significant support or resistance level, and we do have some cross that does signify upwards momentum. Yeah, go ahead. I'm just trying to give you guys some sort of safe way to be using these indicators. All right, so let me remove these lines. So how would I use this? Okay, well, I wait for, confirmation that we're above this 50 and we're even above this 70 zone. When we're above this 70 zone, this is the overbought zone right here. This is overbought. This is just, somewhat overbought. We'll just say super overbought. So super overbought and then somewhat overbought down here. Same thing goes for when we're on the downside, right? If we're below 50, this shows that we are somewhat oversold, super oversold when we're in these zones. And look at how RSI comes up. Look at how price comes up out of these zones. If we are using historical supports and resistances with these RSI zones, it does look very good. You're just using the 50 MA just to get some sort of indication on where price is. When we see the 50 EMA come up this high, we know that we're going to have some volatile price movement to the downside. Look at every time that we've had EMA rise extremely high, we've had extremely downside movements. It's important to remember that. And EMA right now, the 50 EMA, is somewhat getting to these higher levels. We just want to, make sure that we get above these 70 zones to get some nice confirmation on that. Also, looking at these zones on the VMACD, this is basing volume weighted average moving percentage, just the volume average. And it shows, if we have high volume, if we have low volume, right? What happens when we have low volume and it's bullish? We normally have some bearish cross that will happen. As you guys can see here on the daily, let's just go back in time. What happened when we had this push to the downside? What was this indicator showing? Let's just see. Boom. Yep. Gave us the bearish signal on this green candle close right here, which showed, not too much bullish volume when we're comparing it to the bearish volume. We had it flip also when we were up at this top. Now we had bearish, bullish, and then we flipped. So it's a pretty good indicator, right, to understand that. Look how close we are to flipping here. We need to see that volume push up every time that, if we have this daily candle close and we're this low on this VMACD indicator, I am looking for some downside opportunities. We don't have that happen too much where we'll close with this low of volatility and have upside movement. In fact, I don't think we've had it ever. If we look in the past, I don't think we've had it ever. So important to notice too, when this blue line crosses with this orange line, this is using MACD signaling with volume. So important to understand that. So we can see some downside movement if this daily candle doesn't really push back up. But we'll have to see what happens Monday. I am looking though, for this 34,200 zone, for this 34,500 zone to, come into play on the upside. If we don't have too much volatility, don't have too much movement in either of these zones, I can expect some downside if we do get to these zones. As you guys can see right here, what happens on the hourly when we do get to these higher positions, what has been happening. Let me zoom in on the volume, right? When we do get to these zones, look at how volume just kind of dies off here, right? Volume just kind of dies off when we get to these zones on the upside, right? Volume, we need to have high enough volume. Volume dies off, right? Kind of an indicator that we might have that bearish flip. But if we go on the longer time frames, obviously more success rate, obviously more or less leverage. Trading the range, you guys can be successful. We'll be doing videos on how to use all these indicators together, how to use Confluence when using these as well. It'll be very, very template-oriented videos where I can give you guys a strategy and, give you guys a written description on it. So look forward to that. But I'm a little bit busy right now, so probably won't be till a few more days from now. But this is what we see. We want to see price close, I would say, on the 4-hourly candles below this 33.56 level. If we do see that happen, when's the last time we saw a 4-hour candle close below? We didn't see it here. We did somewhat see it in this consolidation zone. But when we have that candle close below, normally, right, we have some large push to the downside. Very important to take that into consideration. Same goes for the upside. If we do break down to these levels, as you guys can see here, we had a candle close, boom, to the upside. Pivotal point at 33.376. We also have a pivotal point up here at 34.143. A lot of price movement off both of these zones, this range that we're in. We need to be looking at the downside as well. 4-hourly candle closes below 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 level. What happens? Okay, we have downside movement, and then when we come back to the upside and it closes above, we have some large upside movement. Same here with the 3, 1, 4, 8, 9 level with those hourly closes, right? We have a candle close above, boom, upside. We have a candle close below, downside. If you guys are trading off of that with some stop loss, not too much leverage, you can be extremely successful. You're using RSI as well, and you're using some sort of MACD volume kind of oscillators to predict or get some sort of read on where volume is heading. So as of right now, this is kind of showing that we are facing some downside. We have some downside movement in volume. We might have some sort of cross. RSI is somewhat overbought. In my opinion, I do think that we need some more volatility tomorrow to really get a full read. But I would kind of make some sort of guess that we could have some push up to around this 34, 35K level and then break down further from there. We need to see higher highs on the longer time frames if we do want to see that push to the upside. As you guys can see, we've just been in this downward descent into hell. If we do not break out of it, we do not reverse trends, we're not showing volume here, we're not showing buying pressure, then we will not see that happen. We need to get above these resistances right here. 12-hour candle has not closed above 34K. 12-hour candle closes above 34K. Nice push up. 12-hour candle closes above 34K. Nice push up. Right here as well. Nice push up. We need to see that happen in order to, get some sort of bullish signal, and, everything's kind of looking high on the indicators so far. We can go to around these 34, 35K zones, but if we don't have enough momentum to break through this 35,500 in a short period amount of time, I don't think that we're going to be able to experience these higher levels. We're already high on our indicators so far, and we need to make sure that we see this push continue. It needs to happen fast, or else, volume will slow down, MACD will start to go to the downside, and, we don't do too well when we consolidate, right? How many times do we have some good consolidation in these zones? We don't, and we haven't seen it yet. Until we see it, until we see those hourly candles, those 4-hourly candles, and those daily candles close above those zones, we don't have any significant, we're in an uptrend, we're showing some bullish potential. So it's just very important to point that out. We need to see the daily candle. We'll go through the daily, the 12-hour, all of that fun stuff. We need to see the daily candle close around this 34,300 if we want to see some upside movement here. with the downside as well. We need to see the downside candle, I would say, close below this 33,373 level. If we close below that, it is looking a little bit bearish. We did have this wick down here. We do have a lot of price action off this level, right? As you guys can see, not a close. We broke off above. But if we close on top of this 33,300, that is also a good buying opportunity, as we do have a lot of upside movement around this zone. And with these lower zones right here, we did talk about them on the daily, guys. We have not had a daily candle close below 31,600. That's crazy, right? You guys remember 27K, remember 28K? Yeah, we didn't see it on the daily candles. Important to understand that as well. I'm going to throw on some Haganashi candles real quick. We'll go on the shorter time frames. We've kind of already went through all the pivotal points so far. We do have some upside movement right now, but we did hit this resistance. Downtrends shows red candles. Green are uptrends. We did have some sort of uptrend. We need to see this push out to really, show that momentum to the upside. A lot of candles right now on the hourly that are pointing towards, some sort of uptrends, but they could be very, very easily disregarded as, it's just some volatile push like we had here can, just disregard all of them. But we need to make sure also EMA levels, we talked about that. We're above the 21 and the 55. We're in an uptrend. We use them as support and resistance. Just make sure, just look at those consistently. Find your EMAs that you're most comfortable with, but they do work very, very well for support and resistance on the current price action or a little bit lagging price action. EMA bands as well. I do use these. It's called crypto EMA bands, a free indicator for you guys. But we are nearing this resistance on this as well. As you see, 1, 2, 3. We can't have a 1 hour candle close above. Also, we can't have, these 4 hour candles can't close above these highs. If we go to the daily as well, we're not even close to really much of any of these zones. We just can't have enough momentum to close above these two EMAs right here, and it's just not looking too good. If we do have a close above it, I'll get bullish. We'll all get bullish, and we'll set our stop losses and probably make some nice money. But let's get into some altcoins here real quick. Apes have been waiting for, right? Altcoins. What are the altcoins doing? What altcoins should I be looking at? Really haven't had too much time to put a lot of time into altcoins over the past day or two. Actually, past 3 or 4 days, but we're going to get into Luna, go over some things that you guys need to be looking at with Luna. Social sentiment. We know Luna had news. Why is Luna so volatile? They had some large news that came out. What happens when large news comes out? At some point, right, you have that push with news. Okay, news comes out. What do coins do? They get the FOMO effect, where we have, price run up extremely high, but then, everyone's in it. Everyone's heard about the news. And then what happens, right? They go down in price, right? Unless they have incentive to hold, which is really high. You just might make a higher sort of support level, when that does happen, right? Instead of, starting from down there, you're just making a little bit of higher levels. But we have had a large push with Luna due to that news that has broken out, due to all these people that are trading Luna. And I do think that we have peaked. How do you judge this? Okay, how do you judge this? Well, you got to look at what is Luna doing in correlation to not only Bitcoin in percentage, but other altcoins as well. And Luna's been, at the head of the pack the past 3 to 4 days. And I just see that, at some time here, we're going to see, here, give me a second. We're going to see that Luna is going to come down in price, but if Bitcoin goes up 10%, we're still going to see some sort of push with Luna to the upside. As we see here, though, on the 4 hour, we have volume going down. It's extremely, extremely high. The MACD is with Luna. When you have something this volatile, right? When we're in these zones. Okay, yeah, we did have these zones. This is bull market, guys. Come on. But when we're in some sort of bear market and we did break through trends, we pushed up into these zones. You can't expect to go to these high zones that we've had up here. I do expect for when this cross does happen for Luna, it will be bad, and we will get into some of the price predictions in those zones that we're going to see there. Because we do have $11 zone for Luna on the upside. It's a resistance zone, but we've kind of broken through resistance a little bit, but we still don't see, the volatility coming into play. We just see extremely high volatility. When's the last time we saw volatility this high, guys? Back in April, right? I don't think that we're going to be able to break out unless we have April amount of volume in the market. Let's be honest. Do we have April amount of money in the market? We do not. We do not. All Just making sure you guys can't see my passcode. All right, there we go. But yeah, for the most part, we do see that, all these indicators are pointing towards extremely, extremely high areas for Luna. We are almost in the super omega overbought zone. If we do have that push with Bitcoin, we'll definitely be up here. And then that's a great time to be looking for some downside movement. When you're looking for upside movement with Luna, when we're in these lower zones right here in May, right? I would say sometime in June, the end of June right here. This was a good zone to see. We talked about this earlier. This is how you could be trading these altcoins on the long term. Make sure it's a good altcoin. You can't always predict that this news is going to come out. But when we do reach the oversold areas and Bitcoin is looking bearish, that's a good time to be entering into some sort of shorts because they're so volatile. News does die off, especially in a bear market. The volatility will die down. But what are the important levels for Luna, right? We do have the 6828 level. We have a support level here. Now it's support. It was resistance. Earlier, we do have a support level around 7.841. We do see, if we break through this resistance, I'll go through that in a second, but if we break down from this resistance, it's another 7% drop. We break down from this support right here. We break through this support, and then we break down to this one. It's 18%. And guys, look at this. All the way down here is the next one on the 4-hour. I do expect some around this. This could be a 33% to a 40% drop. But like I said, I do expect Luna, other altcoins will go like this, right? Where their supports will be like this, right? I do expect Luna. Oops, let me see. I'm just drawing the support line. That's that yellow line. I'll turn it into green, right? So that's the support. Because that news and that incentive to hold, it's the airdrops that Luna's offering. I do expect, for their price on their chart, they had support down there. I do expect it to move up while other altcoins will be looking like this. This is what you have to look at, right? Where does price consolidate? We had higher zones, had that push up, push down. We had lower zones, had that push up, consolidated at a higher zone. Do expect that with Luna, obviously. But for the main part, those zones are possible if Bitcoin does have a larger drop. That's just the support, right? I would expect, the new zones to come into play are going to be on the hourly time frame. We could probably point them out a little bit better. Maybe around the 6507 level. I do see that one as pretty big support and resistance. Also the 6.393 level, pretty big pivotal point here. It's worked out for a nice resistance for a long time. So either one of these zones is still a nice movement to the downside. To the upside though with Luna, right? We don't have a resistance till $11. Can they push Luna all the way up? Do we have enough volume? Has enough volume already been put into Luna? We'll have to see, right? We do have this resistance here as well, which is at $10. If we have that push in Bitcoin and Luna can't get that Bitcoin ratio up, we might not see a 23% push. If Bitcoin goes up 10, 15%, of course we will. But if we don't see that, Bitcoin's looking a little bearish right now. We need to make sure that, we are safe when it comes to Luna and understand how volatile it is and, when to get into these zones, when we are in the overbought, oversold areas, when the EMAs are pointing out a trend. We're in an uptrend, we break through trends. We're in a downtrend, get into the trade. We break through trends at a support on like the 4-hour and we close below it. We break through these EMAs, we break through the support, close on a 4-hour candle below it. Great time to enter in trade. Same thing goes for the above target, right? But yeah, that's it for Luna. Let's go into a few of these other coins real quick. Let's go into Engine. Engine, nice pump today. Engine's been very, very volatile. It has been for the past, I would say, week or so. Ever since we made this lower low right here, people have been kind of hyping this coin up. We really haven't made that lower low since we did on that May drop. It's pretty impressive to see Engine hold. If we go to the daily chart, our supports on the long time frame is around this 7259 level. We're just going to keep on going down, right? We are in an uptrend. You guys see how these EMAs have crossed. They can cross back down now. As you guys see on the 12-hour, look how close they are. We need to see these separate if we want to see a significant uptrend like we do here, right? Look how close they are. Look how close they are, even though they've crossed. Yes, some upside potential, but they could cross back very, very easily just because of, wasn't too much separation in price. We do have a support here at 1.38 zone. It shows that this is the range. It's a little bit far-fetched in my opinion, just because I'm looking at the longer time frames, right? and it doesn't predict what Bitcoin's going to do or have some sort of idea what Bitcoin's going to do. It's just giving you, price action levels. So yeah, don't take every single one of these zones. You just have to like take what Bitcoin's doing and then, kind of predict, where this would go based off of how much percent does Engine do based off of Bitcoin? How much is it doing right now? So yeah, that's important to notice too. But if we break through this EMA and we short of go into a downtrend, we break through this resistance right here, I would expect price to at least come down to around this 2.43 zone with Engine. And we also see this is kind of the range that we're currently in, this 1.14 and this 1.5. I would say this is resistance 2 right here. This is resistance 1. This is support 1. This is support 2. We are kind of in the middle of this range in this level. If we do reach the tops, right, I would suggest putting in some sort of trade. If Engine does reach around this 150 zone, I wouldn't look too bad, but they really need to see volatility pick up. And because we have that news and that dip, right, what we could have is the new range starts a little bit lower. So this could be the top of the range as well, which actually, now that I'm looking at it, we'll go look at indicators, see what they're pointing towards us. But I do think with some sort of downwards push, right, this could be the top of the range and it could fall pretty quickly. But it is up 7% today. A lot of hype, a lot of stuff around it. So don't expect that, we can't get above 1.51 level and break through this resistance. We easily could. We did have that large push to the upside. We want to see a test off the EMA and the supports. You guys see how when we test off the EMA and the supports, as we have done here, boom, we break up to the upside. We need to look at Bitcoin as well, of course. But let's go up. If we break through 1.15 or 1.50, what do we have, right? Well, we have another zone around this 1.52. But yeah, we have another zone at 1.6890. Let's go look at where the volume is at with Engine. We don't have too much volume in these zones. So, same thing goes with Bitcoin. We don't have much volume in these higher zones. If we're looking at, percentage, we don't have, too much volume here. So it's going to be hard for us to break above these zones. But let's go into the indicators. What are they showing us? We are seeing MACD kind of slow down on the 1 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour. It is turning up on the 4 hour, but not by much, right? Not by much. This could turn down pretty quick. We do see volume is dying down a little bit for Engine. When we do see that slope down, we normally have it follow through, and it can flip very quickly. You see how we just have volume, boom, straight down, just because of how volatile these coins are. It's never in a good formation. The daily, we are showing some bearishness with Engine still. We have that cross. And yeah, it is looking a little bit bearish from these levels. I would say not the best time to be trading Engine unless we do break, into these zones at 1.5 and we kind of show on the macro time frame that we are at the top or the bottom of this trend, and Bitcoin supports that as a conclusion. Until then, probably better just to play it safe with this one and just wait out till we're in a good spot to trade in. What are we looking like on the RSI? We're above the 50 level, which is overbought, oversold. We do see, price right here, guys, went above. This has been a great time to enter in a shorts because we aren't in a macro downtrend with Bitcoin. That means macro downtrend in altcoins, short, right? And we saw price dip below, still good indicator. Even if we're in a downtrend, price dips below this, normally good buying zones. Use it based off of other indicators and support and resistance, especially because all indicators will show that, it's a great time to buy. It's a great time to buy, but we're nowhere near a support level. And we're going to go down to that support level or somewhere close. We want to see that momentum upwards, especially if we have that large of a dip. But we do see, kind of some bullish, or actually some bearish divergence right here on the 4 hour. Not too much, to be completely honest, though. But let me just map it out. Boom. Boom. There you go. And we want to see, price kind of, get to these higher zones. I mean, with Bitcoin currently right now, I would say, and Bitcoin's in the middle of the trend, altcoins are in the middle of the trend. We're just mapping up higher zones, getting prepared. All right, next coin we're going to get into today is going to be, what other coin? Let's see, what would I be looking at right now? Bitcoin. I'll go into Ethereum, guys. I'll go into Ethereum. We'll go into Ethereum, then we'll wrap this up here. All right, Ethereum, guys, Ethereum, when we had this drop the other day, okay, we could see Ethereum, if we break above this resistance at 21.75, let me draw these out. We're going on the 4-hour. Let's go on the daily first for Ethereum, first of all. Look at the support that we have, okay? We don't have much support below these levels right here. Let me take off this volume indicator. Boom. We don't really have a support on the daily until around 850, just to give you an experience of how volatile Ethereum had its push to the upside. A lot of people are staking it. A lot of people do believe in it long term. We're not going to speculate the 850 because we'll get a lot of butthurt fans out there. But it's important to understand that, if we do break through this support and we have a daily candle close, we are looking, like we kind of consolidate around this area. Let's map it out real quick. Let's map out the consolidation area because we don't have too much of an indicator. Oh, daily candle closes here. Great time to enter a trade, right? We do have this area right here, which is our sort of resistance level when we do break through this. And when we have a candle close above, we have that upside movement. Same thing goes for, let me move that up a little bit just to get more accurate, which is the 1900 level. You need to be looking at Bitcoin as well. But if we draw this over to, look at guys, it's happened in the past as well. A great thing to realize, how volatile and how pivotal these points are in history. So 12-hour, right? EMAs are still showing downtrend, guys. Still showing downtrend. We are testing the upper EMA right here, which is the 21, and we haven't been able to break through it. So let's see if we test and then we break down to the support. Could be happening. But if we do break above it, we still have that 50 as well. And we need to see that push with Bitcoin if we really want to, have some confirmation here. Support level also at the 17.26 level, but we still haven't had a 12-hour candle close down here. Still haven't had a 12-hour candle close down here. If we do see that, is looking very bearish, but great opportunities to get into some buys, right, guys? Look at, if we have, candles that reach this 1800 to around the 1740 area with Ethereum, we haven't really had any candles, close down here. If we see a candle close, it's like, oh shit, we got to get out of this trade. But for the main part, price comes up off these zones. We haven't had too much price action down in these zones to begin with. Same thing goes around, around to these sides. You will see the same thing happen over there. But we need to make sure to have the upper zones mapped off as well. These are some great buying opportunities for Ethereum. I'm going to wait for, the 1700 levels on the macro time frame. And when we look at price action kind of in the middle of this, this micro or macro range, we see that we have this resistance. We have this support in the middle of right here. Let me get my drawing utensil. All right, so right around here, we do have some volatile price action. I would say this is a pivotal point right here when we do have price with a lot of volume break through or break upwards, and we break above this zone, right? Normally a good time to enter a buy or a short based on what the volatility is looking like in these zones. As you guys can see here, right? Great time to be entering some of those trades on the lower side. Great buys if we do get down to this price. Let's see how much of a percent change that is. That's 16% stop loss, of course. I would say even this resistance right here, when we break through this resistance, when it's, we break through support, turns into resistance around this area, down here at the 1880 would be a great time to be entering in some macro trades on Ethereum. Let's go through the macro levels real quick. We're pretty low on Ethereum on the 4-hour. Let's go on the daily. Still extremely low. We are in a downtrend, though. Got to take that into consideration. If we see that MA cross, we could expect some push to the downside of some proportion. Volume just has died down. Boom, bounce off that zone, that 50 zone. Let's see anything else on the 8-hour. Cross below, looking a little bearish there. Let's go into these smaller time frames. 4 hours still got some room to go, but it is going to be meeting up with that 50 here within the next day or two. The hour looks a little bit overbought, right? We still don't see those high zones, those super overbought. When we do, it's a very, very good indicator. Get ready to trade. Get ready to trade. You can even enter in trades here, but you want to have more than just RSI. Even if you are just trading off of RSI, don't be doing that because there's other things that you want to be looking at: historical supports and resistances, volume, all of that good stuff, right? I'm not going to go into the 15-minute, but yeah, 1 hour is showing you know, that we could have some more room to go. If we do get above the 70, that's a very, very good indicator. You know, we're going to have some downwards price action. MACD on the 1 hour is flipping to the downside a little bit. Still could have that little rise up in price. We want to see this kind of push up to higher levels. And 4 hours looking a little bit bullish. For MACD, we actually do see that cross with Ethereum. And I would expect Ethereum on the 8 hour, right? This is actually looking pretty bullish for Ethereum currently, just because it hasn't been able to catch up to what Bitcoin has been doing in price action. So if we do see Bitcoin have a nice run up, expect Ethereum to maybe catch up a little bit on exactly what Bitcoin has been doing. Via, like, look at these altcoins, up 7, up 6, up 4, up 4, up 3. Ethereum's only up 1.5 currently, so it's just important to, you know, realize that aspect of Ethereum. It's a little bit slow right now. Daily, we are still in bearish territory. We don't even have the cross yet for this MACD. We could have that other push down to the downside. So you guys can see here, look at what happened in May 19th. Boom, downside right there. We're probably not going to see these high of levels for quite a while with MACD on the daily. But for the main part, I would say short-term consensus of Ethereum is bullish on like the 1 hour time frames all the way to the 4 hour, just because it's a little bit oversold when compared to how the market is going. Doesn't mean that if the market goes down, Ethereum is not going to go down, right? It means that just Ethereum compared to the market is a little bit oversold. Looks like you could have some nice movement to the upside if people do, you know, push up the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, just showing that on Ethereum. So what are the good levels for Ethereum? We already went over them, but just as a little synopsis, also BBWP is showing some bullishness with Ethereum, but we need to be looking at Bitcoin. So the areas, $2,000 with Ethereum is a great sort of support. Doubt we'll probably see that. We have this zone right here. As you guys can see here, look at these wicks in these zones right here. Like, boom, great support level. Currently, let's get that again. All right, there we go. Let's go right here. Okay, that's a great sort of support level, great level to be buying some Ethereum at. If it falls through that, that's another great level on the 1 hour time frame to be looking at. We don't have too much dips into these zones. I would say we are in this range. This is the shorter range, the micro range of Ethereum. This is our buying spots. Stop loss is a little bit below this little consolidation point. I'd probably put the stop loss around this 1900 area, to be completely honest. Right here at this 1955 area. Boom, stop loss. This still is though consolidation. Let me look in to confirm on the longer time frames. Yeah, I would put it around. Buy there, resistance right here. Yeah, I'd be putting the stop loss around this zone, and it matters what the hourly candles close at. If we have a 4 hour candle close below this 1900 level, I'm going to be putting in some sorts of stop loss around that level, just because when we do have that happen, we have bearish downside movement. And I am going to be looking to pick some more up if we go down to the 1700 level at the support level, or if we break above this resistance, which is the 1928 level. And there's another resistance that we see right here. As you guys can see, look at the buying pressure that we see in this little zone right here. I would be looking, if we break above this zone, to be looking to get some buy opportunities in these two zones if we do break through. On the upside, though, I want to see Ethereum break above this resistance and holds. Let me go, boom. I want to see it break above this resistance and holds. I want to see a 4 hour candle close above it, and I will be looking at setting a little order on Ethereum, but we need to make sure to, you know, focus on what Bitcoin's doing. But I want to see price close on the 4 hourly above that zone, and then we can look at, you know, some let's go on the 1 hour real quick though. We want to be looking for some upside movement when that does happen. I would say all the way until these 2200 levels. That's just a take profit point. You want to be setting stop loss, I would say, a little bit underneath these zones that we're currently in. This is a riskier trade. Like I said, we're in the middle of the trends. So actually, I'm just going to give you guys higher probability trades. Lower probability trade that I just talked about there. Didn't feel too comfortable sharing that. Not the best to be doing that. If we go to these tops of these ranges, okay, these are higher probability. Why would you be trading lower probability trades? You're going to get liquidated, especially if you're new to trading. So definitely let's map this out right here. This is a resistance, right? That we see. This is a resistance level right here. We also have this resistance level at this 2300 level. That is around a 10%, 11% push. If we do break above this level, we have this 2548 level as well. That is in play. Boom, move that up. Could even go across the bridge with that. But yeah, that's the other level as well. But yeah, if we do break above with momentum, I would say some buying orders would be here, looking for some profits right there. And if we break above this 2389 level, and we have enough momentum to reach this 2555 level, looking to take some profits there as well. But we need to see the momentum shift with Ethereum, and we need to see that happen now. But that's going to be that is going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed a little bit different style here. But yeah, that's going to be it.